So October brings us a new batch of free games for PlayStation Plus and Games with Gold.
Yes.
And previously, Phil Spencer mentioned everything that's going to come out for Xbox 360 for Games with Gold will eventually be a backwards compatible game for Xbox One. Basically saying...
And that's something that they've been working toward even before they launched the backwards compatibility publicly. He said, this was something I knew was coming. I was trying to drop hints. Go ahead and grab these even if you don't have a 360.
The idea was you still get the thing that we gave out still applies to you, and you don't lose out. It's their answer. What I think is their answer, we were talking about before, it's their answer to PlayStation Plus's cross-buy or PlayStation Network's cross-buy. If I buy Tesla Grad, I get it on PS4 and Vita and all these different things. It was their way of answering that in a different way. So they announced that officially last month in September. So the Games with Gold are announced for October. And we have Valiant Hearts. Okay. Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes for 360. Okay, those are our Xbox One and 360 offerings. And then halfway through the month, we get Walking Dead Season 1 for Xbox One. And we get and for 360. So essentially, you gave us 3 games this month. You're saying it's 4 games, but you've already said that you're going to give me the 360 version on Xbox One later on. So you've given me 3 games this month. Why? Why you gotta lie to me? This is 3 games. You say it's 4. It's 3 games. Unless they're doing something big for November. No, they're not.
They're not.
But they could. But they're not.
No, but the thing is the idea of one is like you're trying to extend something extra because everybody at the beginning of console generations is like, we want backwards compatibility, and then like after a year it's like, eh. But this was Microsoft's offering to say, hey, look, we have this thing. We've heard you. We're listening. We know that this is something that you want. Here it is. Yeah. And then to turn around and then use that as an excuse to let them slide something by like this is, and basically what this is ignoring what they said before. Because they said before this is a thing. And if that was not the case, then this wouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah, yeah.
But because they're offering backwards compatibility, it is a problem.
It is. It's a huge deal. If they wanted to, maybe it's because of October, they wanted to do Walking Dead, October, Halloween. I don't know. Maybe that was the reason.
Yeah, that and World War I. Those are the big
That's the
Halloween
2 things
topics
that I think about when I think October. World War I and Halloween. And World War II, Afghanistan... hold on. So, Metal Gear is just confusing, okay?
Yeah.
I get why they wanted to give out Walking Dead. And Walking Dead's, phenomenal game. Your usual tie-ins are shit. And in this case, they're not.
Well, they're creating different stories in that same universe. Yeah. And that's a different thing. Yeah. That I appreciate.
Doing a complete adaptation of it. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So welcome to This Week in Our Collective Heads. I had to get that rant out. I'm irritated by that.
In case you couldn't hit tell.
Yeah, I ranted before I came here, just so I could condense the rant down because I knew I would just keep rambling. I feel like I'm being lied to, and there's a con man, and his name is Phil Spencer. So anyways, there were some interesting things in the news this week. I guess one of the first things which I thought the marketing for this game was fantastic. They actually did something on Conan as well. If you've watched Conan's Clueless Gamer, Tony Hawk was on there with Lil Wayne.
Oh, really?
Yep. And I was hopeful because it looked interesting.
Well, and they've also done so many different spin-offs, and there was Underground and Slide Down the Hill, whatever that one was called, and and then 5 was supposed to be the return to form.
Yes,
and it's broken. Yeah. And it well, one of the best quotes I heard about it was, "It's a game in which physics and collision are broken, in which the game is about physics and collision."
Yes,
because there's like it doesn't matter if the story's bad because we're skating.
Yeah, it's like Angry Birds. Physics is all that matters in that game.
Yeah, and so to have that broken is to do a disservice.
Yeah.
And then you download a patch with a day one game because the patch was twice the size of the game.
Yeah.
And if you're doing it, bump it back. We've been waiting 7-8 years for this. Yeah. We can wait another couple of months.
I've been waiting since Tony Hawk 2 because all the others have been crap.
I like 3.
You liked 3?
I like 3.
3 was okay. Like I liked 2. I played 2.
Yeah, 2. I like 2 better, but 2 didn't have Darth Maul.
No, it didn't.
Or Boba Fett.
Maul. You know, you can't make your own skater in Tony Hawk. I don't get that. The new Tony Hawk game.
You can be Lil Wayne. Why would you want to make your own skater?
That's who I create every time. If I'm playing Tony Hawk or if I'm playing WWE games, the first person I create is Lil Wayne. I don't know about you guys.
Yep. It's just a really disappointing launch, and I mean, Activision has done launches properly. Like Destiny was a huge build-up, and they did a lot of things right. And so, but it's the thing because like different. You can't trust them.
No,
and that's why pre-orders are a broken system, and I'm trying not to pre-order stuff anymore.
They are. There's only certain ones that I will trust the company because the culture has just gotten out of hand. The pre-order culture has gotten out of hand. You can pre-order.
Actually, this isn't on here, but this week they also Square Enix dropped the pre-order, whatever that was. For Deus Ex.
Yeah.
And because
I was very happy about that.
They made the bizarre system where you could pre-order, and if you get enough, then you get more stuff, and then if
enough people pre-order, you unlock things, which is cool, but you get to your choices in unlocking things.
They also didn't give us the numbers for that, so we knew it was just going to be a PR stunt where they reach the end, and they say,
there were loose
thanks for supporting.
Yeah. There were loose numbers, but the thing that irritated me...
They had percentages.
Was it percentage? I didn't see. I thought it was actually...
I don't know where the percentage is. Like, what's
the percentage of people that they think will pre-order?
Yeah. So,
well,
I don't know.
My biggest irritants on that were you pre-order, you get when a certain amount of people pre-order, when they hit a certain threshold, you personally get your choice of one or two things.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can't get both.
Right.
And then you hit the next threshold and you get your choice of one or two things. Mm-hmm. And you hit the next threshold and one or two things. Yeah. Why not just give me all of those things? You're making all of those things. Mm-hmm. Give us all of those things. And then the last one, play the game 4 days prior to the actual release. There have been a lot of games that have done this, and this is the only game that's gotten flack for it. Star Wars: The Old Republic did the same thing. You got to play 3 or 4 days before the actual game came out. There are a lot of games that have done that. Usually they're MMOs and they give you a little bit of an edge.
EA's early access.
Yeah.
Like a big tenet of that system is that you get to play the games... a week early or something? Like it's a substantial amount.
It is a substantial amount, and to me, this is Deus Ex and playing it 4 days early. Is it really? I mean, I don't know if people were more irritated by it not being that big of a deal, or the fact that they were going to put a game out before everyone else could play it. Because, like I said, Star Wars: The Old Republic did that, and I played. I think it was 3 days early, and I played 3 days before anybody who did not pre-order. Now, what that meant was that up until midnight of that day, of the night of the day of launch, up until midnight,
midnight of the night of the day of the
midnight of the day of the night. Yeah. Now, with an MMO, that's a different story. With an MMO, you're saying, here's 3 days of getting ahead of the competition.
Head start. Yeah. With
Deus Ex, with Fallout. I want to play Fallout, but does it matter to me versus someone else? If I get 3 extra days in that game, I'm not going to get further than them and then can squash them in a multiplayer thing. There's no multiplayer portion of that. So I just don't think there's really a reason for it. But also speaking of pre-orders and the weird pre-order culture, you can pre-order Final Fantasy's remake on Amazon.com right now. You can pre-order the game that we have seen nothing of. We have seen a demo of what the graphics will probably look similar to, maybe. They've
The
we're not in
director now
alpha.
knows he's working on it.
Yes, the director is aware that he is tied to the project. When you have a game, you're pre-ordering. Let's be honest, but this game is going to come out in like 4 or 5 years, maybe. So, like, why would I? I'm going to forget that I pre-ordered. I pre-ordered Aladdin on Blu-ray, and I forgot that I pre-ordered Aladdin on Blu-ray until recently because it's coming out in a couple weeks. So if I pre-order something 3 or 4 years prior to it coming out, and then it comes out,
That's kickstarting
I'm gonna forget. Yeah, it's kickstarting it. I'm gonna forget that I pre-ordered it. I'm gonna buy another, and I'm gonna have 2 copies.
I'll take the other one.
Okay, I'll let you take the other one. But speaking of weird pre-orders and things we don't like in what is now gaming, Dungeon Defenders 2 pre-alpha.
Yes. Okay. So Dungeon Defenders 2 was originally a game that I played on my mobile back when I did that. Before I had a Vita.
Yeah.
And it was fun. It's kind of a mix of action and tower defense, and I like those things. And Steam's had early access for a long time, and that's you can pay, get in on the buggy broken version. Xbox has, what's theirs called?
Oh, I don't remember.
Everybody has their own versions of play before this game comes out and help us test it or whatever. But one of the significant differences here is that Dungeon Defenders at launch will be free, but the only way to get in on the pre-alpha or whatever is to buy, I think it's $15, $30, and $75 currency packs for the game.
Yeah,
and that's a bit much for a thing that's not even out yet.
Yeah.
I don't like that that's the first one, because like if their first one had been like a Sony thing, and they were like, hey, this is early access, help us test it, put that in a window, or pay $10 to help us test it, that's okay.
Yeah.
But to already put microtransactions as the mode for entry, then you're just buying the thing, and I don't
It works with like Angry Birds. If they came out with a new Angry Birds or Clash of Clans, you have an established IP that a lot of people are behind. Mm-hmm. And if you say, hey, the game is free if you do the thing, if you buy some expansion thing.
Well, if you bought the ad-free version, you could play Angry Birds 3 for a week early.
Yeah.
A lot of people would jump on board for that.
Because they're already going to do it anyways.
Yeah.
You're already paying for that product. Because when Dungeon Defenders 2 comes out, it's going to be free. It's not free when it releases, is it? Mm-hmm. It's free when it releases.
On release, so when they have the full launch, it's going to be a free-to-play game with microtransactions.
So you're playing for early access to a thing that's probably broken.
Yeah. And I appreciate the early access community. Mm-hmm. People like I myself. I don't really have time to play broken games.
Yeah.
But there are games that back in the day I would have gladly paid to be in on the first little bit and help find bugs and stuff like that. Like I was a part of the beta program for PlayStation 3.0, which we're going to talk about in a second.
Yep.
And that was really cool. I enjoyed that, and I like being a part of the community that helps make a thing better.
You get to give feedback. You get to be
But at that point, I am serving PlayStation, and so to pay for the privilege of serving whoever it is that put out Dungeon Defenders, and to have that be Sony's entry into this weird middling genre. Mm. That's kind of upsetting to me, and I hope that it goes poorly. And I enjoyed the game. I have nothing against them as a platform, as a developer, but I don't want this to be the way that Sony reels out their information.
Yeah,
and I've told them so because Twitter.
Because
Twitter's fun.
Twitter's great. Well, I mean, like Blizzard has done this with World of Warcraft, and other games have. You can be on their test servers, so you can test out things for them.
Yeah.
But it's your choice to play
help.
on a broken thing, and you can help in not making it not as broken.
But
you're not paying.
Yeah, they're not
additional
charging you
Yeah.
to help them
more than just the regular charge that they would.
Right.
Yeah, which is fine.
So we don't care for that.
No, we don't.
We like testing things for free.
Yes, like 3.0.
Yes,
Yeah.
I tested that, and now I can talk about it because it's out. And my favorite bit is streaming to YouTube and just archiving stuff like immediately.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
Yeah, it takes out a middle step. A lot of people go to Twitch, then they archive to YouTube, and it takes out that middleman to do that.
Well, and I've started recording like whenever I'm doing bosses on Bloodborne, because those are really intense fights, and I wanna share my I beat a thing, because the one reborn is now re-dead.
Yeah,
and that makes me happy. Like that's just a really cool thing, because it just takes a second, and I can record it, I can throw it up on YouTube, and YouTube is so much easier to access. The communities are fun, and then,
easier to access for non-YouTube people is what you mean, right?
Well, it's more ubiquitous, because if I send a Twitch link, my mom and grandma aren't going to click on that.
No.
And I actually kind of hope they don't click on my Bloodborne things, because then they would ask me questions about my life decisions and why are you killing this giant thing that's made of other bodies, and are the girls watching this? They're not, but it's evil, so you can just say, well, it's evil, I need to kill it. Yes.
Nothing wrong with that.
One of the other fun things, and a lot of this, it's 3.0, so it should be a big deal and stuff, and there are some cool things in there, but my other favorite thing is the PlayStation Plus tab.
Yes.
Because you just go up to like the main settings, trophies, player bar, and then you click over to the left one. And so just to have all the PlayStation Plus in one place is something that is long overdue.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much programming expertise it took, but like that's something that we've been asking for a long time. So now, pretty much the last thing is let us change our names.
Let us change our names. We need to change our names. Some of us got names and some of us got names because of different reasons. Some of us go by different names now. Some of us may have had a hyphenated name of two people, and now those two people have separate accounts, and one of them is left with a single hyphenated name, but all the stuff is tied to that hyphenated one. Let me change my name. Come on, please.
Yes.
I wish. I mean, it's 3.0. It's supposed to be a huge game changer, and it looks exactly the same. And I know that's only cosmetic, but I really would like to see a little. We're on the third version of this generation firmware. Give me something flashy. Show me something different. If it doesn't work, okay, then you come out with a patch and you roll it back. Try something different.
But like the 360 with the blades.
Yeah.
Like that was a whole new system. And yeah, you have to learn a new system, but it's fun to try something different. But the other thing is whenever you go to the TV video thing, I want that crap to stay in the same order and move the stuff that I use to the top. I want YouTube, Netflix, and Crunchyroll to be at the top,
right there.
And I don't need to scroll past the Major League Baseball or Plex thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not gonna play those. And if I do, I can move them to the top and have that
have it a
sort.
Favorites.
Have that sort in the same way that the regular bar does.
Yeah. The easy way to do it would just say sort it by the one that you last used. The better way to do it, and that would be fine. That'd be usable. The better way to do it would be what are your favorites, most used favorites, and then you can say favorite, and then you can reorder those. It doesn't take a genius to figure out. You can reorder those by unfavoriting and favoriting. It goes right in the right order that you want,
and you can do that on the X1, right?
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have pins. It's just like
feel free to rob from each other. That's the smartphone industry does it.
Yeah, that's how this works. Speaking of, I don't know. I guess it wouldn't be robbing. It'd be business tactics. Microsoft bought the Havoc engine.
Business
tactics. So Microsoft bought the Havoc engine and will continue to license it out. I think it was a good business decision. I wish that that I would have also seen a side note that Sony also bought the Fox engine. That's just me. That thing is fantastic. It needs to be used more. Havoc engine's being used in a good amount of games. But for them to buy it and license it out, how do you think that's going to change business-wise?
Honestly, I don't think it will.
You know,
I think that Microsoft has advanced considerably as far as taking care of stuff, because they bought Minecraft a month or two before it came out on the Vita, which was the last system that it came out on, I think.
Yep.
Except for the Nintendo, because it's but I mean they purchased Mojang, and which is the correct pronunciation. Look it up.
I butcher it every time.
Yeah,
but yeah.
But they bought it, and then they put it out, and they've continued to release like Sackboy and the Uncharted stuff, and like they've let the studio do what the studio did.
Yeah.
And Havoc is used, like if you look at the opening for Borderlands, there's a couple of sports games that use it, and then Ubisoft likes to use it a lot. So, and Ubisoft is one of the ubiquitous play it on all the things. And so, like, the Assassin's Creed games are in Havoc.
Yeah.
And so I think that this is just a move by Microsoft to say, hey, we want our studios to be able to share resources.
Yeah.
And I think that will improve games across.
Yeah. And them to say, we're going to share resources, but you're going to pay me to use it. It's smart. I don't think they're going to straight up tell Sony that they can't use it in an exclusive game. If they did, I'd be surprised.
Well, I mean, and it might already be, they might already be using it in something that we just haven't seen yet.
Sure.
But the big thing for me, and the only way that I feel like it's going to affect us as gamers, is that I think that we will see better resource sharing across Microsoft Studios. They don't have a whole lot of studios, but they do have a considerable number. And so if they all move from Unreal or from Frostbite or whatever, and if they're all using Havoc, there will be a lot more resource sharing, and they'll be able to understand the system better.
Yeah.
And I think that will lead to better games from the Microsoft first parties.
I think you're right. And then we also had we did have a big fiasco this week, though, along with the news. Call of Duty's marketing campaign, PR people, whatever, be marketing, wouldn't be PR. Marketing campaign decided, hey, let's pull an Orson Welles and fake out people on Twitter and make them think that there's a terrorist attack going on.
Right, because nobody's worried about that.
No, in this day and age, no one thinks about terrorism ever. So because of that, they thought it'll be completely fine to go on Twitter and pretend that there was a terrorist attack to drum up the Call of Duties.
Yeah.
So I think it's just horrible, bad form, bad taste. There's other ways to do this exact same thing. You're not going to get the same reaction. You're not going to get the same reaction because of what happened with Orson Welles. And if you don't know the history of that, how much trouble he got in from doing War of the Worlds. They did a radio broadcast for War of the Worlds. People thought that aliens were actually coming down and invading. There were a lot of FCC laws that were passed because of what he did, and to stop people from this misinformation and stop people from panicking. So when Call of Duty does something like this, it's a big deal. You're creating unnecessary panic in a time that doesn't need it. We've already got enough stuff that we're dealing with. You could do a fake news broadcast. You could do a fake old school news broadcast like War of the Worlds, where it's very meta. You could do that as part of your marketing campaign.
But they even, and I couldn't find it because Bing is awful. I don't know why it's the default on. Well, I know why it's the default, because otherwise nobody would use it. But like, I'm sitting here trying to find. They changed their name to like something Action News, and like they changed their icon, they changed their header, they changed like everything to make it look legitimate.
Yeah.
And a couple of hours before they did the launch, they also tweeted about some fake movie smashing in the box office for whatever. So they're taking all of these steps to make it look legitimate, to make it look like an actual news source, and they're verified. And so if somebody retweets it, then the people who are following them may not be gamers, and they see, Evening Action News, whatever, has said that there's a terrorist attack in Singapore and showing plumes of smoke going up, and it's number one, it's in bad taste. Number two, it's just something that has legitimate sources of panic for people who are already. I mean, it's a scary world right now, and it's.
Well, and the other thing that irritates me about it is we already have enough people on the internet who don't fact check anything, and if they see something posted on Facebook or Twitter, they believe that it's true. Mm-hmm. They don't question it. They repost.
Yeah.
And then their friends do the exact same thing, and these things spread. And the
further you get from the original source, the less likely it is that these people will even be able to fact check this.
Also, the fact that it's been proven that trying to it's like breaking a first impression. If you hear a news story of A and it turns out to be B, then the majority of people will not retain the information that it was actually B, even if they read the story, even if they hear people
because
talk about it.
There's a higher emotional impact for the first thing.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is that they, like, I saw a lot of things that were talking about this on IGN, Eurogamer, and such. It's bad. We don't like it.
It's horrible bad.
And so I hope that they don't ever do that again.
Yeah. Bad form.
So speaking of doing things again,
Hitman is going to do again things.
And this is kind of an addendum to what we talked about last week, because they're releasing a $35 intro pack, which you'll be able to buy the content that's available at launch.
Yeah.
And then you can pay $30 later to get the whatever extra stuff gets put out. And so you'll be paying an extra $5, but you can kind of try it. And that's
I'm actually okay with this.
Yeah,
this is what I wish that they did with Ground Zeroes when Ground Zeroes came out, is to say, hey, here's the thing you're trying well before the real thing comes out, because Ground Zeroes is great. It's a great game, but it is an hour and a half long game. It is a demo.
I don't know. I've spent 2 hours tagging soldiers because that's how I play stealth games. That's why you will not see me playing Metal Gear Solid 5 on Twitch or YouTube or anywhere, because nobody wants to sit there and just watch me.
Yeah.
There's one. There's one. Because I'll do that for an hour before I go into the mission.
Yeah. But we have a game that is what you're going to be playing. It is almost all of the mechanics. There are some bits that get released later on, obviously, but I think this is a really good idea for them to say, hey, we know we don't have everything yet, so here's this thing.
Well, it's the mix between the full game and the episodic.
Yeah.
And if you believe in us, then go ahead and pay us $60. If not, we understand. Here. And Hitman is also Squaresoft, or Square Enix.
Square Enix, yeah.
So I feel like that this week, between that and the other bit that we talked about earlier, I feel like that they are listening. Yeah. And because they shut down the Deus Ex thing and they upgraded the Hitman. I don't know if like leadership changed or something, but those are two fairly dramatic, okay, we're going to try to do things right.
Yeah.
And so, maybe in 3 years when Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out, then we'll see the results of these decisions made today.
I hope so. You know what game would have done really well with this kind of model? Destiny. Destiny should have been...
But they got you to pay $60 for it at launch.
Yes, they did.
So they won.
That's good marketing. That's just good marketing.
Well, if you pay $500 million for something, you better have... Because
it was two? Wasn't it 200?
Right, but it was $500 million for the whole plan thing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Fact
for the I believe you're right. For their huge, we have a 10-year plan bit.
Right.
Because that was the big marketing thing for them.
A chunk of that was marketing, and they marketed the crap out of it.
They really did. I think there's some games that don't need marketing, though, and I think one of those is Burnout.
Yes.
And the Burnout franchise, Three Fields Entertainment, who were previously Criterion.
Right? Okay, this is one of the ones that I know a lot about. Because,
you know more about this one.
I've actually been following the guy. They have like 1,500 followers on Twitter. They had just over 1,000 before this started. But Three Fields Entertainment is done by the founders of Criterion, who... so Criterion made the Burnout games.
Yeah.
And then they got bought by EA. And then Criterion became one of their Need for Speed studios and just put out Need for Speed games. And then the Burnout... There was a Burnout Crash, like a mobile game thing, where you just had a GTA 1 style overhead view trying to do crashes. and like so they've gone off and they're doing their own thing. And the first thing they're doing is a sports game, which they said they're learning a lot about destruction and physics in that game, which physics makes sense. But if you have a sports game where you're learning how to destroy physical elements, that's kind of exciting to me. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what that project is.
I have 2 words to say on that. Blitz? The N64
Blitz.
game, NFL Blitz.
Yes.
NFL Blitz. Breaking bones and stuff. That...
And like where the flip, and after the play, you have all the players piling on top. Yeah.
Yeah, that. Breaking when that's fine. And then the other thing I have to say about that...
There's a lot more than 2 words.
There's a lot.
We
okay,
apologize.
so Blitz, right? And Jam.
Yes.
NBA Jam. I want to break. I mean, I'm not a sports ball guy, but those games I will play. If you give me a chance to just destroy a backboard, I will play the game to destroy the backboard. I want to be able to dunk that hard and just rip the rim off of
He's on fire!
Exactly. You give me that, I'm okay. So if there's something like that.
Okay, and so I actually tweeted at them and I said, hey, this is a thing. And they've been very responsive. Follow 3 Fields ENT, the number 3 on Twitter. They're really responsive and stuff. And so I actually tweeted at them. I mentioned those 2 games specifically because, yes, there's sports games. You know, you're trying to get a touchdown. You're trying to get the baskets.
Sure.
But it was just a much more lighthearted look at the sport. And so I tweeted that at them, and they RT'd that one, which rock on. And they said, okay, cool. If that's what you're looking for, you know, please be excited.
Yeah.
And I'm excited.
That's a really good sign.
And they're also looking to the community for... They've requested feedback. Mm-hmm. So if you have a particular Burnout game that you liked, whether it's, you know, Takedown, Revenge. If it's Takedown or Revenge, tweet at them. If it's Paradise, go play Paradise. And they've said that they don't have the resources or the size, you know, to do an open world game. And so it's just going to be race to crash to race to crash to race, which is the way that I enjoyed it. And so I'm really looking forward in 3 or 4 years for that game to come out. But like, there's a lot of different philosophies as far as release dates, as far as announcing games or whatever. And I mean, you know, they're still working on their previous game. They're not hyping it up at E3. They're just on Twitter. They're saying, hey, we're here. We're going to work on that thing you like. Yeah. So let us know what you want. So if you have feedback, just go tell them. Yeah. Because,
And speaking of feedback.
Yes. If you have feedback for us, let us know what we could be talking about, what we should be talking about less, whether you want to see different things, whether, you know, our clothes are awful, etc.
Do you like the nerdy shirts? Do you not like the nerdy shirts?
Oh, this one's actually religious.
Yeah.
Yes. If you want more religion in the podcast, put it in the comments, and we probably won't pay attention to that one. But leave any feedback for us in the comments. Let us know your opinions on these things. How do you think that studios should approach marketing and campaigns and feedback? What is it that you would like them to be able to hear you say?
What studio would you want to do this exact same thing, to say, give us ideas, we're listening well early into the process as opposed to when they're pretty much done?
Right.
Yeah. So, let us know, and we'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one. Thank you for watching This Week in Our Collective Heads.
If you like what you've seen, subscribe right here.
If you want to see us play games poorly, click over here.
If you're a mobile user, you want to see our cards, click here. I for cards.
And if you want to check us out on Facebook, we're on Facebook, and we're also on Twitch, Tweotch Gaming.
We're also on Twitter, at Tweotch. I'm at Sabal, so follow both of us.
Yeah, so we'd love to have you guys as subscribers, so you can see more of us all the time. All the time. Later.